Hello, everybody. Cal Banyan here. Cal Banyan's Hypnosis, etc. And wow, I'm really excited to bring to you someone that is really been someone that's really contributing to the profession, contributing to Five Path International Association of Hypnosis Professionals. And I asked him to please be on my podcast. And I said, please send me an introduction so that I can do him justice here. So it is Christian Skoorsmith. He's an award-winning hypnotist in his 6th year of private practice, full-time. He's a board-certified National Guild of Hypnotists, hypnotist, a regular contributor to both the National Guild of Hypnotists Journal of Hypnotism and the Five Path International Association of Hypnosis Professionals Journal. He is an adjunct, that's easy for me to say, adjunct faculty member teaching the National Guild of Hypnotists, such as topics like tinnitus or tinnitus, and I was just informed that those are both correct pronunciations, and working with transgender clients. He is sought after international speaker, speaking internationally, even like in the Ukraine. I wonder if he speaks Russian, probably not. Maybe he does. We'll find out. I'll have to ask him. He's one of the best hypnotists in the Seattle area, being named in the top 3 in Seattle. And let's see here. Christian has also recently published a training program for hypnotists wanting to work with tinnitus using evidence-based techniques. Now, evidence-based techniques, that's a big reason why I've got Christian on here today, is because he's totally into the scientific realm, and he backs up what he does. He backs up what Five Pathers does. He backs up hypnosis works, why it works with evidence-based background in journal articles and all that good stuff. Let's see. He's also on the advisory board of the Five Path IAHP, that's short for International Association of Hypnosis Professionals. I was impressed with his scientific knowledge and how it relates to what we do as hypnotists and as Five Pathers. So I asked him to be on the show. How you doing, Christian?
Fantastic, Cal. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. And just let me introduce you. I'm sure everyone who knows, or if who's watching this already knows who you are. But for those of you who might not, Cal is the living authority on hypnosis that works. He's the teacher of some of the most successful hypnotists, hypnotherapists in the profession. People are out there who are changing the world lives at a time, also like developing new techniques. He's a thought leader. He developed 5-phase transformational hypnosis, or 5-path. He developed 7-path self-hypnosis. He developed the secret language of feelings. And if you haven't read that book, really find it, read it. It's really well worth the time. These are tools that I use every day. And so I can vouch for them. And so can my clients. My clients can vouch for the effectiveness of these techniques. Cal has received virtually every recognition that the National Guild of Hypnotists has. And he's an author, he's a trainer, he's a speaker, he's a podcaster. I think more than 500 videos, and now this one. And I've known Cal for years now, and I've honestly taken every training he's offered, and I've never been disappointed. They've always been really insightful, spot on, informative, transformative for my practice. If you have any interest in a thorough, grounded, systematic approach for facilitating change in people, you're listening to one of the fountainheads right here. And I'm thrilled to be on the show, Cal. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Christian. This fountainhead is getting bigger and bigger with every accolade.
I threw that in there. I thought that was good.
Awesome. Hey, so all you folks out there, you hypno-curious ones, and also people who are thinking about having hypnosis for your own use, as well as you folks who've been in the profession for a while, I want to let you know that for me, as Christian came into my sphere of awareness, and he was really helping out. We have a email group where people ask questions and then other Five Pathers answer them. And I was really looking at his really depth of understanding. And so I asked him to write for our journal. And over and over and over again, his articles, I go, wow, this guy really gets it, you know? And so I thought, his last journal article was had some real evidence-based stuff, and so I didn't come on, but we're going to save that for the next video. I'm hopefully going to get 2 videos out of him. So here we go. Let's learn about Christian. So can you tell everybody kind of like where you on earth you are, and the nature of your hypnosis practice?
Sure. So my hypnosis practice is located in Seattle, Washington, in the U.S., in the Pacific Northwest. And so my practice, it's a full-time practice in a dedicated suite. And it's a general practice. So I take in all kinds of issues. As hypnotists, a lot of us do that. But of course, I also have my niche specialties, and particularly working with anger management, sleep, helping people with sleep, and then also working with transgender clients. And one of my niche specialties is actually helping people with tinnitus or tinnitus. Yes, and both of those pronunciations are correct. And so over the past several years, I've actually been working with so many clients and really trying to develop and systematize that evidence-based approach. And so as Cal mentioned just recently, we put together an actual training module to help other hypnotists work with tinnitus in a more evidence-based, instead of just sort of like, shotgun approach, trying this technique or that, actually walking through a way to actually follow the evidence and deal with that issue. So there's lots of things that I deal with, but there's some things that I have, that are particularly close to my heart.
And now, is that package available on your website?
It is. www.wholehealth.today. So not .com or .org, it's .today. It's kind of unusual. And it's actually, there's a whole package for the training book. You get the scripts, you get the orientation, theoretical orientation, you get like a protocol breakdown of session by session. I mean, I don't want to make a big advertisement about it, but I'm really excited about it. It's brand new. And I'm really thrilled to actually have brought that to the community. I'm really excited about helping people with tinnitus.
Well, I know we get calls from ever since I've been in the profession for full-time for 25 years, we would get calls for that. So I know it's really something that people are just frustrated with. And one thing good about frustration is that it's a call for creativity. You start thinking outside of the box and you start considering things like the hypnotist and stuff like that.
Yeah. It seems like it's ubiquitous. Whenever the topic comes up, people are always interested in it. And you're right that there's not a lot of good answers or solutions or techniques, or there's not a lot of good resources out there. Like for so many of these issues that hypnosis deals with, hypnosis is the last place people come. But probably because they've tried so many other things, but also because hypnosis works when everything else hasn't.
Awesome. Now, one of the things I think is interesting about your background is you came from you have like a master's in divinity or something, is that right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
how did you get from there to here? Did you pray, God, give me some inspiration, and all of a sudden, bam, hypnosis came into your head, or what?
I wish it was that direct, right? I wish I knew at the very beginning where I was going to end up. But so, yeah, I spent 10 years as a professional minister, an ordained minister. I'm still ordained. I'm still active in my tradition, my community, but I'm just not getting paid for it anymore. But the reason I got into ministry is because I really was passionate about helping people be better people. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was good at it. I loved being minister. I loved the job. And people would say, nice things like, oh, that sermon meant a lot, or that sacrament was really powerful, or that counseling you did with my son or my wife or whatever, that was really meaningful. But after about 10 years, you start reassessing, right? And you start evaluating. And I did. And I started asking myself, where were the measurables? How did I know I was making a difference? And there came the opportunity to sort of segue out of that. And I moved from working with congregations of people to working with just individuals in sort of a life coach, sort of life and wellness coach sort of model. And that became a little more satisfying because there was some accountability, right? That was like one person, they knew that they had, they were paying me, so I had to perform. They were coming to me, so there was that accountability there. It was a very eclectic business model. right? So I threw everything in there. I got feng shui training. I got my physical training certificate. I got a nutritional certificate. I was throwing everything in there. And there was some fly-by-night internet training in hypnosis. And it's a little embarrassing to say now. But even, I was throwing everything in there. So I thought, okay, I'll throw some hypnosis in there. And even with that remedial amount of training, there was a quantum leap in the success of my clients. So I started thinking there's really something to this. So I went back and got some more legitimate training, and there was another leap, right? And then just following the breadcrumbs of the universe, I realized, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm really enjoying. This is where I'm seeing the success of my clients. And so I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to go where the evidence goes, right? I don't want it to be fly by night. I don't want it to be, hit or miss. I don't want it to be spontaneous. I want it to be systematic, evidence-based, consistent, and profound. Those were the things I was looking for: systematic, consistent, and profound. And it took some time to find that kind of school of thought, but I found it in the 5-path community. And so I took that training, and then I hit the ground running. And I've been full-time ever since. I haven't looked back. It's been my favorite career ever. I'm actually having more impact on lives and on the world than I could have dreamed possible.
Awesome. I think that's what professionals want, right? Is something that's reliable, universal, structured, that you actually always know what you're doing. And too many hypnosis schools, they give you psychology 101, and you know a whole bunch about the history, about this person, this person, this person, but you really just don't have a practical approach for when that client walks through the door.
Yeah. Or they give you training in 50 or 100 different techniques, and that's like their selling point, right? And so you get to be really good, or you get to be a little bit good at a whole lot of different things, but there's no way to actually know when they walk through your door what to do with them. The one thing Erica Flint talked to me about, she was saying, it's better to be really good at 5 things than kind of good at 100 things, right? And
you heard Bruce Lee. He said, "Do not fear the man that's practiced 1,000 kicks once. Fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times."
Right? I love it. That is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So are you we know that you do the tinnitus, right? And you do the transgender stuff. Do you consider yourself mostly focused on those things, or are you able to handle a broad range of things?
Well, so yeah, my practice is general. So whatever comes through the door, I will have a conversation with them about that. And if their goals match up with my skills, and we jive as personalities, right? That if that seems right, then absolutely. And part of the reason is because 5-path is such a versatile approach. But then also because humans are humans, right? And as psychologist Andrew Salter once said, he said, everybody comes in with the same problem, so everybody gets the same treatment, right? And his idea was that it was everybody's inhibited and everybody needs to be more assertive, right? And I think 5-path is a little more nuanced than that approach, but the same fundamental truth is, that we're all humans, so we can all benefit from the kind of work that we do.
Awesome. Now, speaking of 5-path, we haven't really talked much. Do you use 7-path in your practice, 7-path self-hypnosis?
Absolutely. So 7th path self-hypnosis is, I use it both as an adjunct for the 5-phase transformational hypnosis, the more longer hypnotherapy, right? I use it as an adjunct for that, and also as a standalone practice. But as an adjunct, it really dovetails well with the hypnotherapy, with the 5-path. And so it's a way to keep that work going between the sessions. And then also what I love about it is that this particular practice is that by the time we're finished, then my clients have all the tools they need to then work on whatever other issue they want. They don't have to keep coming back to see a hypnotist every time they want to change something about their lives, right?
Right.
I mean, It's a terrible business model, but ethically, I feel really good about it.
Right. And another thing that happens, because there are 9 hypnotic suggestions we give ourselves with 7-path, or what we will call recognitions,
Mhm.
that an issue might bring them in, weight loss, stop smoking, sleep, whatever it is. And in the period of time, maybe we give them 4 or 5, teach them how to use the first 4 or 5 recognitions. And then they say, well, I really dig this stuff. And they may keep coming back because of the beauty of learning the complete system. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have that surprisingly often. And in fact, just recently I had several years ago, I had a smoking cessation client, and they come in. And what I love about smoking cessation is that smokers always think that the smoking is the problem, right? That's
Right.
the issue. And what I love about, like, one of the fundamental shifts is they realize really quickly that the smoking is just a symptom, right? And we're getting down to what's really the issue. Why are they smoking, right? And so once we've shifted that, then the world opens up, right? And so this person quit smoking, did wonderful. A year or two later, they come back to me and they said, look, I'm not smoking. I'm doing great, but I feel like I needed a refresher, right? I felt so good about that. So they came back and we started doing some of the advanced self-hypnosis, right? And they loved it so much, we continued with that. And then they worked on that on their own. And then they came back to me about a year later, just recently, and said, I'm ready to do the advanced or the ultimate recognitions, right?
Oh,
and
cool.
And they were actually going through they were going through a domestic abuse situation. I mean, there was lots of other things going on in their lives that they needed to work through, but they were also ready to continue that work. I mean, so it's what I love about Seventh Path is that it's there for people where they are, and also, it's something that they can use wherever they are. It's always a tool that they can benefit from.
Awesome. So I love your enthusiasm. I think people are picking up on this, just honestly coming through the excitement about actually knowing what you're doing and actually being able to help people. So I'm wondering, do you do online sessions or just physically in your office?
So yes, I do online sessions. And for those who don't know, Cal offers the pioneering accreditation in working with hypnosis online. I have that, and it was very helpful. And so I do work with clients online because there's clients, especially with tinnitus. Actually, there's clients all over the country, and since oftentimes then we can work with actually headphones and do some other things. It's actually it's a great not modality, venue, a medium.
We changed the milieu.
Yes, yeah.
Everything
to be honest,
about
I do like working with people in person. That's always my preference. Yeah.
Everything about COVID was bad, except it put a lot of people online that wouldn't have otherwise been there. And it opened up the world, especially for the hypnotist, especially for someone that is just getting into the profession. There used to be this roadblock of, I've got to lease an office and I got to buy the furniture and all this stuff. And now everybody already has internet. They already have a way to connect with someone using Zoom or other platform, which kind of makes me think, can you tell us a little bit about like how you got started? I mean, once you graduated, and was there any challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, certainly most of the challenges were in my own mind, right? And actually self-hypnosis, really, I really relied on Seventh Path self-hypnosis to help me get over those. But my own doubts about, not doubts, but my own concerns about how much I could charge, like how much would the market bear, like what kind of my own credibility. Those are the kinds of challenges that every new hypnotist, I think, probably faces. And so I graduated from 5-Path in January of 2017, I think. And I'd already been working as a hypnotherapist for a little while before that. But it was really when I got the 5-Path training that I felt really grounded. And I consider that sort of the reboot. That's for me in my mind where I started. And so I leased like a closet in a Pilates studio. And that was good for about 6 to 8 months or so, but really quickly I outgrew that space. And I needed like a space that I had my own, right? And so then I worked through some other organizations, but eventually I just needed my own place, my own signage, because I'm my own practice. right? And I needed to give my own, project my own image, because there's, hypnosis begins before I even meet the client. And so, with their impression of me, their understanding of my background, right? I'm not, I'm like, as you said, I'm a very evidence-based, very psychological kind of person. And one of the things about Seattle's filthy with hypnotists, right? Which is actually another great reason why you can go online, because now I know other five-pathers in Seattle who aren't limited to competing with all of these other established hypnotists in Seattle. But Seattle's it's a kind of place where you can be pretty loosey-goosey, I don't want to, nothing against being hippie or something like that, but you don't have to be evidence-based in order to get people to listen to you. And so there's also there's not the expectation that hypnotists are academically rigorous or evidence-based or systematic. And so one of the things I need to do is help educate people in the community, in not just my neighborhood, but in the Pacific Northwest, that there is hypnosis. There are hypnosis professionals that can be professional, right? That know what they're doing, that are trained, that it's not just a shotgun approach, or not just direct suggestion. We're not just doing feel-good sessions. We're not just reading scripts, right? That there's actually people who can do the kind of depth and insight work that Cal, you and I do, and five-pathers do all the time.
I was going to ask, my next question was going to be, what do you wish people out there understood about hypnosis that maybe they didn't? I think you've already kind of started in that direction. So you might have someone watching right now that is thinking, is this hypnosis stuff real? Or is it right for me either as a profession or particularly to become a client of a five-path certified hypnotist? What kind of stuff would you say to them?
So, I mean, the real question, there's lots of fun stuff to talk about when we're talking about the science behind hypnosis, the evidence behind it. And most people's experiences are with like stage hypnosis or Hollywood presentations, something like that. And so there's lots of myths to dispel. But I would say you cannot go wrong contacting a five-path hypnotist. I can vouch without even knowing them. If they're accredited and if they've had that training, I can vouch for the level of training they have, the kind of expertise they have, their ability to answer your questions, and their ethical integrity with being able to have that kind of conversation with you, totally disinterested, right? As five-pathers, we are invested in your success, your health. So if we're not the right person, or if hypnosis is not the right modality, we'll be totally honest about that, because I mean, hypnosis depends on this mutuality, this trust, and you need to trust us. We need to trust you. We need to be partners in that. So I'd say, if you have any doubts, or if you're even interested in it, find a five-pather near you, and that can either be online now or Cal. We have a directory of five-pathers, right? Yep. Hypnosis-directory.com, I think is what it is. That's
perfect. Yes, that's it.
And so there's lots of hypnotists, or good hypnotists out there. I mean, I'm sure there's other good hypnotists that are not five-pathers, but I can't vouch for them, because I don't know them unless I know them personally. But any five-pather, I can be really confident in sort of referring you to.
Beautiful. So now I'm going to just let you run with two questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. And one is, where would you like to see the future of the profession go? And then anything else that you want to add that maybe we didn't cover that you'd like to get out there?
So where I'd like to see the profession go is this to be considered to get to the point where it is a professional service that people think about in the same way that people think about having a lawyer, or having an accountant, or having having a therapist they go to. This becomes just the regular. This becomes that well done hypnosis becomes a regular factor in people's lives. That this is just one other way that people can achieve mental and emotional health, clarity, and abundance. Right? I'd love to see that become just in our culture. That's like, of course you'd see a good hypnotist, right?
What do you think hypnotists need to do in the profession to make that happen?
Well, A couple things. I mean, first, they need to do it well, right? They need to be good hypnotists. And so now there's lots of ways to be hypnotists, and there's lots of ways to be good hypnotists. But you need to be accountable. You need to be presenting yourself well. You need to be able to speak to the public about what hypnosis is. I mean, if you're not, I don't want to, I don't want to get into religious language, but if you're not a missionary for hypnosis, if you're not a marketer for hypnosis, then you're only doing half the job, right? Because part of what we're trying to do is elevate the profession so that we're all held to a pretty high standard, and that we're all able to really meet that standard, right? So that's one thing I'd like to see. That's one thing that hypnotists need to do. And the other is take our own training, our own mental health, our own self more seriously. Invest in ourselves, get the best training, get the best practice, right? And don't be scared to revise, to hold ourselves accountable. The techniques we're using, don't get stuck in ways just because we've been doing things. Really hold ourselves to the science, hold ourselves accountable to like what's working, what the best of what's out there. I think probably those two things are probably, that would be a great start.
Well, Christian, I think that's going to be a really good segue into the next video. So I think where we need to go and having understanding evidence-based research and accountability and quality. And so that's going to be really great. So let's wrap it up with you giving your website one more time, and anything else you think they need to know, because we ran over a little bit, but I'm not surprised. We had a lot of really good content there. Okay, go ahead.
I love to talk about hypnosis. I always talk too much, right? So my name is Christian Skoorsmith. I am at Whole Health Hypnosis in Seattle. My website is www.wholehealth.today. Whole Health is WHOLEHEALTH.today. And if you want to reach out, that would be great. Take a look at my website. Otherwise, really, any 5-path are out there. I'd say find one nearby that you can trust.
All right. Well, let me just say that one of the things that I really like is on the 5-path International Association of Hypnosis Professionals, you'll start seeing more and more of us writing for like the National Guild of Hypnotists, because I think we're becoming the cream of the crop. And then folks like you and Erica and the other co-hosts that I've had on here are really the creme de la creme, the cream of the cream. And so thank you so much for being on here. And all you guys out there, if you're thinking about becoming a hypnosis professional, please go to calbanyan.com, and right there, in addition to having my training, there's also a link to get access to all my videos. All my videos are not available in any place except calbanyan.com. I've got crazy amount of 500 on just about, well, actually it's like 580 something now. So it's just about every possible topic. With that, Cal Banyan signing off.